Yo, what is up YouTube? Lee the Captain here, back again with another YouTube video on nothing other than RSR, aka Reserve Rights Token. I'm going to be talking about what's going on with RSR right now, what I think about it in the future, and address some questions regarding its utility. I'm also going to be talking about just the whole crypto space in general and what I think about RSR moving forward. Now, when we take a look at RSR along with just the whole crypto space in general, the past 7 days, pretty decent pump, right? However, now it's down. And, I often use these cases as an example that you can't really predict, when things are going to go up and when things are going to go down, because the crypto space is just so volatile. And when it comes to something that, for example, I truly love, something like Reserve Rights Token, right? What I do is just dollar cost average, because if I think about it, right, I can't predict when it's top, when it's bottom. So I just keep dollar cost averaging on a set schedule. When we look at the whole crypto space right now, back above $1 trillion in terms of market cap. However, when we take a look at Bitcoin, it was just recently above 24,000, now 22,800, right? We can't predict the future. So what we do and what I do is I just dollar cost average. And guys, quick interruption. So I split this video into two parts. The first part of the video, I talk about Bitcoin, the economy, what's going on around the world. However, in the second part, I go deeper into RSR and its utility, because a lot of people ask, what's the utility of RSR? And I also talk about the price of RSR and where I see it going forward. So if you guys just want to skip to that part directly, it's around the 10-minute mark. For the exact timestamp, I'm going to list it in the description below. However, I just felt like I should mention this before I continue any further in the video. However, you guys can also feel free to watch the entire video if you want to know more about just the economy, what's going on in the world, how the price of Bitcoin right now is affecting RSR. And just, you can just watch the whole thing if you want, basically. However, if you just want to skip to directly to the RSR part, again, I'll say, right, 10-minute mark, check the description below. However, right, we look at it, right, Bitcoin was above 24,000 very recently. People were thinking it's going to go back up to 30,000. People were euphoric. A lot of these alts were up 20, 30, 40, 50%. A lot of people FOMOing in and people thinking that, hey, are we actually going to make a relief rally? Now, it's been halted, in my opinion, due to this news. Elon Musk reveals Tesla sold 75% of its Bitcoin after crypto market crash. And they actually sold this, if you look at the article, between April and June, right? Now, when you think about it, they sold it before, right? Like it was a couple months ago. But people didn't know this. So when this news came out, I bet people were thinking, wow, a lot of people probably panic sold because they were thinking, hey, isn't Elon Musk such a Bitcoin bull? He believes in Bitcoin and its long term. Why is someone that wealthy, the richest person in the world, such a huge company like Tesla selling its Bitcoin? Why do they need it, right? People are probably just panic selling. However, when you think about it, Tesla actually needed to sell this, right? They actually needed to. And this tweet perfectly explains why. This tweet is from Real Meat Kevin. And he explains that the cash flow statement shows that 922 million cash flow bonus from Bitcoin sale when this comes to Tesla, right? So cash flow change was 847 million. So this means that without the Bitcoin sale, Tesla would have had negative cash flow. So the earnings in Tesla right now are dressed up. And the thing about this is, Tesla needed to sell Bitcoin for its liquidity, and they needed it to prop up their cash flow, right? So the thing about this is they actually needed it to actually sell it. It's not like that Elon Musk just sold it out of the blue, right? It's not like he just randomly sold it, and despite his company doing well. No, he actually needed to sell it. And I will reiterate this, right? People often panic right now. Why does someone as rich as Elon Musk, such a big company like Tesla, have to sell 75% of its Bitcoin? I will say this. When an individual, for example, someone like Elon Musk, right, has a high net worth, it does not mean that they have a lot of cash laying around. So even billionaires can suffer from liquidity and cash flow problems. A lot of these billionaires, right, their assets, right, their net worth is tied to stocks, to property, to their business, for example, art collections, what have you, right? If you think about it, right, by definition, net worth is assets minus liabilities, right? So assets is not only just cash. A lot of these rich people, right, they actually don't hold very, very much cash compared to their net worth. If you think about it, statistically speaking, billionaires on average hold anywhere between 7 to 10% of their entire net worth in cash only. So they are not holding, right? When you see someone worth $1 billion, they're not holding that much in cash. So even billionaires can suffer from cash flow problems. And what Elon Musk is doing is completely fine. We see a lot of billionaires out there in the world selling their stocks to, to prop up liquidity in their company. Why? Because they don't hold that much cash themselves. They have it, a lot of it tied up, for example, in, let's say, property and art collection, right? In stocks, but they would have to sell that, right? And it takes time. So a lot of people oftentimes also suffer from liquidity problems. And it doesn't mean that, when someone has a high net worth, they hold a lot of cash. Someone with a lower net worth, for example, someone, let's say, that's worth $200 million could very much hold less cash than someone who has a net worth of $5 million. Why? Because potentially this $5 million net worth guy, let's say he holds $4 million in cash, and the $200 million, he holds like $3 million in cash, right? He could actually have more cash. However, this guy has more assets, right? So he has a higher net worth, right? When you just think about it, net worth is assets minus liabilities, not just cash. Now, if anything, this actually shows how strong Bitcoin is holding up, because if you think about it, despite them selling, right, Bitcoin didn't crash to 10, 12,000. Bitcoin still is maintaining strong, right? It did go to 17,500. However, it is still not, that low. A lot of people are predicting it to go 10,000. Some people even predicting it to go to 5,000. However, this shows how strong Bitcoin is and just how strong the whole crypto space is. When you think about it right here, right? A lot of people recently also have FUD that, Mt. Gox, they're going to start releasing over 140,000 Bitcoin to the people who lost their Bitcoin in their hack, back in 2014. Now, when you think about it, people are thinking, hey, isn't this going to have a massive dump, a massive effect on the price of Bitcoin? I honestly don't think so, because when you actually think about it, right, we just take an example, someone like Tesla, for example, right? They sold, right, 75% of their Bitcoin, and it didn't really affect the market that badly. Now, when Mt. Gox is actually going to return its Bitcoin, they're actually going to give several options. I think one of the options is just for people to take cash, or they can actually receive Bitcoin. But however, they're not receiving the amount of Bitcoin they truly lost. So for example, someone lost in the Mt. Gox hack, for example, they lost 10 Bitcoin. They're not getting back 10 Bitcoin. They're getting that 10 Bitcoin, for example, that 10 Bitcoin at the time, for example, was worth, let's say, $100. They're getting $100 worth of Bitcoin back. And think about it. Why would these people who actually, think about it, most of them are getting Bitcoin at a loss at this point, right? Or they can just cash out. However, at a loss, they probably won't sell it. And even if they do, I think the Bitcoin market and just all the other cryptos are still going to hold strong. Why? Because just take a look at examples, someone like Tesla, despite them selling, right, the whole crypto space is still holding strong. Now, when you think about it right here, the only way I could actually see Mt. Gox, causing a massive crash in terms of the price is if everyone decided to receive it in Bitcoin and sell it all at the same time. Yes, we could see a temporary crash. However, I think honestly at this time, right, 2022, the whole crypto space is just stronger and better than ever. So I honestly don't think that, Mt. Gox, returning the Bitcoin would cause a massive crash. And if you think about it, right, if you look at the Bitcoin logarithmic growth curve, Bitcoin, right, has never exactly dipped this far below this bottom yellow line in its history, right? The last time we saw it dip below was 2020. And after that, we saw one of the most, euphoric runs ever in the history of cryptos, right? Now, when you think about it, are we poised for a big run? Honestly, I think so. I think we are much, much closer to a bottom price than a top. If you think about it right now, right? Bitcoin, 24,000. If let's say people that predict Bitcoin to go to 10,000 is true, right? Let's say Bitcoin were to go right now. It were to lose 14K and go to 10,000, right? That is nowhere compared to the 44,000 upside if Bitcoin were to go back to 68,000. And that's just considering its all-time high, not even 100K that people are predicting, right? If you think about it, wouldn't people, not mind losing 14K to make 44K? Just think about it, right? So if you just take that example, we are much closer to a bottom than we are a top. Now, I honestly think that 68K was nowhere near Bitcoin's true value. And when you think about it, if Bitcoin were to go back to 68K, go back, above, 100K, the prices of these other cryptos, right? For example, something like RSR is just going to go absolutely euphoric. Plus, its added use case and its future potential. Now, when you think about it as well, I also think about this, right? when you take a look at the bottom prices, right? Let's say Bitcoin were to go to 10, 12,000. If anything, that's actually a better buying opportunity for us, as crypto investors, because all these other cryptos are going to get taken down as well. So you actually have a major discount price. Real wealth is made in a bear market. Bull markets can make people rich, yes, but real wealth is made during a bear market. Not financial advice, but that just is how I think about it. And when you think about it, right, realistically speaking, the only way to really stay in the game is just a dollar cost average, because who could have predicted that, Elon Musk was going to do this, right? Tesla, right? Who could have predicted Tesla was going to do this? No technical analysis could have predicted this. So if you think about it, technical analysis can't predict the war in Europe. It can't predict, people being uncertain in general. It can't predict, Tesla selling, right? It can't predict, for example, something like Mt. Gox, releasing their Bitcoin, right? So this is just shows that technical analysis works until it doesn't. And now, people often say, hey, RSR is such a far cry from its all-time high. And, honestly, I honestly think this is actually a good thing when it comes to me, because if anything, I just feel like these are discount prices. You buy when things are that, you can't predict, right? So you just keep buying, whether it's high or low. Personally, that's what I do. Now, I'm going to address some issues when it comes to the utility of RSR, because a lot of people often ask, what's the utility of RSR? What is its use case, and what can we do with RSR right now? So actually the Reserve Protocol, right, they themselves have addressed this, because a lot of people also ask them this question. So they address two questions in this tweet, right? They say, can I stake my RSR on RSV, and do RSR holders benefit from the growth of the Reserve app? Now, I'm going to give a quick, just summary on what they said, and just a quick background on Reserve and RSR, because if I just read the whole thing, you guys would just be bored out of your mind, right? So when you think about it, why was RSR made in the first place? RSR initially, right, was made in order to A, have insurance when it comes to their stable coins, right? In case it were to depeg, they could sell RSR. Now, also, people can actually use RSR to vote in governance, and creates a decentralized aspect when it comes to the Reserve app and the Reserve Protocol. Number three, you can actually stake your RSR on stablecoins, what they call R tokens, on the Reserve Protocol. Now, right now, Reserve Protocol has an app that's available in 5 Latin American countries called the Reserve app. And in this Reserve app, they are right now using a stablecoin called RSV. RSV is a centralized stablecoin, so it's not decentralized like what they intended. Now, right now, right, RSR is not fulfilling its true use case, because it hasn't been implemented yet into the app, and there has been no staking of RSR yet on their R token stablecoins. Now, when people often ask, so what's the point of buying RSR? The point about buying RSR is that, in August, they are going to launch a mainnet. And in that mainnet, they're going to now allow people to create stablecoins on R tokens and actually stake their RSR and earn rewards. Also, at a certain period after that, they're going to start allowing RSR to actually serve its true purpose and implement it with RSV, creating a decentralized aspect. In terms of the exact date when they're going to do it, we're not sure. However, if you just look at the trading volume of RSR, it has increased slightly, because people are anticipating that in August, when RSR is actually implemented to RSV and the Reserve app, it's actually going to have a true use case, and people will start earning rewards, right? And I will reiterate this again. RSR in its current exact form is not serving its true purpose and having actual utility when it comes to Reserve. And as I've said before, right, RSR, right, was made initially to provide insurance in case RSV, right, or R token stablecoins were to depeg, and B, right, to create a governance aspect, and people can actually stake their RSR on R tokens. Now, as of right now, RSR is not able to do any of that yet, which is why people are so, they're anticipating highly, the mainnet launch in August. Once that mainnet launch, once we actually see the actual true use case of RSR be implemented, then it can fulfill its true destiny of its intended creation. I will reiterate again, right? RSR, right, was supposed to be made in tandem, right, in a sense, as I mentioned in my previous video, sort of acting as a Robin to the Batman, right, supporting the stable coins that are on the Reserve app. However, right now, as I mentioned before, right, RSV, the stablecoin they're using right now in the Reserve app, is centralized, not decentralized. So the Reserve protocol is still working at this current exact moment to link the functionality of RSR to RSV. So that is basically RSV in its current form and just an explanation of just the Reserve protocol. And as I said before, right, RSR was made initially to have a link to the Reserve app because their goal is to have a decentralized stablecoin in the Reserve app. Now, you know, when people are often concerned, hey, why is it taking this long? However, you should understand that, you know, when it comes to crypto projects, when it just comes to just, you know, companies in general, it takes time, right? It takes time to develop and actually link their intended use case. If you think about it, a lot of companies, right, they create like sister companies, they create subsidiaries who for many, many years don't actually do anything until they actually fix and improve and make the true final form of their main product before actually linking the functionality between their main product and their subsidiary product, if you just think about it. So that's the way I just think about it in a sense when it comes to RSR and RSV. So it's nothing to be concerned about. And as I've said before, right, you know, despite, you know, just being that, right, being in its current form right now, RSR was still able to create life-changing wealth, especially for a lot of people last year. Just imagine once they actually find a real link and utility once it comes to RSR and actually serve its true purpose. So at that point, you know, the price of RSR people are predicting will go up. And in my opinion, I agree. Because if you think about it right here, right, the Reserve app right now, the stablecoin RSV that's been used in the app right now, it's serving over 18,000 merchants and has a monthly volume of $100 million and up. Just think about it, that's over $1.2 billion a year in terms of volume. Once they implement RSR to that, right, just think about it. Something that's already up and running, something with over $100 million per month, just think about what's going to happen to the price of RSR. Now, when people talk about the Reserve protocol, right, and why is RSR so key when it comes to their stablecoin, just think about it. Right now, you can stake RSR and earn rewards, as I've said before, right? The amount of revenue our token generates is the amount that they're going to allocate to these RSR stakers. The portion of revenue that the governance has directly to the RSR stakers, you know, your portion of the total RSR stake on that R token. So this kind of explains how, you know, how you would stake RSR and how much you would get in return for staking RSR, as it explains down here, right here. So, you know, it's basically just their way of calculating it, right? You know, for example, you would get, you know, a fictional R token generated $100 in revenue in a period. 20% of the revenue was designed for RSR stakers. So 1,000 of total RSR was staked. So for example, you staked 100 RSR. Out of the 1,000, now you get $22 for that period. That's just an example right there that they use. And the basic gist of it is you guys right now are not able to stake RSR right now because, you know, they haven't launched their mainnet. You know, it's gonna, as I said before, right, it's gonna come out in August, and, you know, we're gonna have to wait for that in order to be able to stake our RSR. So as of right now, I will reiterate again, right, RSR cannot be used to stake on RSV right now on the Reserve app. So right now there is no link right now for RSR to RSV, which is why they're working on it. And I'll mention again, right, you know, they are releasing the mainnet in August, and, you know, after August, they are going to come out with a way to link RSR to RSV and the Reserve app. As of right now, right, when you take a look at the Reserve app, as I've said before, they are still using RSV, and right now, RSR does not have a direct link to RSR. The thing about this is actually, I think, actually a good thing. And people say, why, right? Why is this not a good thing? Think about this, right? Despite RSR not having served its true purpose yet, right? Being sort of this decentralized aspect to Reserve, you know, being implemented with their stablecoin, despite all this, right? Despite not being able to stake yet, despite people not being able to create stablecoins yet on, you know, on the Reserve protocol, aka R tokens, look at the price of RSR. It had a huge, massive bull run last year, despite all this, despite not having a use case at this exact moment. Why? Because if anything, this all-time high, in my opinion, is nowhere near the full potential of RSR in the future. Why? Because if you think about it, something with not, let's just be frank, right? No use case yet going to this price, Imagine once it starts getting implemented to the Reserve app, being used in 5 countries with a monthly volume of over $100 million, just think about what's gonna happen then. This all-time high price, in my opinion, is going to look like a small blimp when you just actually think about it. Because I will reiterate again, right? Yes, you know, when you actually read their article right here, before I actually go into this more, into this $100 million volume, right? Right now, right? When we think about it, the Reserve app, and we talk about RSV, it is not being linked yet to RSR. And when you think about it right now, right? In August, once they release their mainnet, yes, it is true, right? They are still gonna actually allow our people to stake their RSR on stable coins, right? They are not going to link RSR to RSV yet. You can see right here, right? They are first waiting for, you know, the launch of the mainnet before actually implementing RSR to RSV. So initially speaking, right, you know, RSR holders initially, once they release their mainnet, you know, people may think, hey, I can't stake on RSV yet. Where am I going to stake my RSR? As the Reserve protocols said themselves, right? This does not mean RSR holders will have to wait for this change to happen before being able to stake their tokens. Starting from the protocol launch onwards, right, somewhere in August, you know, RSR can be staked on any R tokens that require insurance. Now, when they think about when is RSR going to be able to be staked on RSV, they're going to wait for the mainnet launch to you know, run successfully at first. They're going to wait for all the bugs and kinks, you know, to just basically sort themselves out before they actually start implementing RSR to RSV. And, you know, they are committed to doing this because, as they said right here, right, you know, in order for the app, right, in order for Reserve Protocol to serve its true purpose and be decentralized, RSR needs a connection to the app, and they need connections to the stablecoin they use, aka RSV. Now, when we take a look at RSR right now and how it will be staked, right, as I've said before, it's going to be released in August. Reserve has commissioned a dApp that will be available on mainnet launch. On this dApp, you'll be able to connect your Ledger wallet, you know, as you would connect to any other dApp. And once you've connected your wallet, you can simply stake RSR, and you can actually stake it right here. You know, the dApp will support, you know, Trezor, Coinbase wallet, MetaMask wallet, Trust wallet, what have you, right? You know, Crypto.com DeFi wallet. And when I think about it right here, why am I so bullish on RSR moving forward? Because think about it, once RSR starts being implemented on the app, once, you know, once RSR gets seamlessly, you know, integrated in terms of the use case of RSV, you know, we're going to truly see just a massive price bump. And when you think about it, right, it's RSV is already being used. The Reserve app is already being used. So if they just connect RSR and make it serve its true purpose, we're just going to see a massive, you know, price increase. And now, right, I honestly think that once RSR gets linked to RSV, it honestly, in my opinion, may decouple from the price of Bitcoin. Because if you think about it right now, all these cryptos are dependent on the price of Bitcoin, right? But if RSR truly gets linked to the Reserve app and RSV, you know, it serves its actual use case, a true purpose, right? So when you think about it, then, you know, we will honestly, in my opinion, see a pretty decent pump and, you know, sort of a decoupling from the price of Bitcoin. Because think about it, right? It actually has a use case, not just speculative, you know, retail traders trying to trade this, right? It actually has a true use case. Now, when you think about this, right, why is RSR available in so many exchanges? When I truly think about it right here, a lot of other, you know, cryptos, they have trouble getting into just even decent exchanges, let alone something like Binance or KuCoin, right? When you think about it, why is RSR able to do that? And in my opinion, it's because these exchanges, they believe in the Reserve Protocol and they believe in RSR's future use case. They believed in it before RSR actually has a true use case, so to speak, right? They believe that the Reserve Protocol team is going to be able to integrate RSR, you know, fully and serve its true purpose. And when you take a look at RSV, right, this is the stable coin right now that they are using in their Reserve app right now. It's actually being used by a lot of people right now in 5 countries in Latin America. So when you take a look at RSV, I honestly feel like, personally for me, and this is not a dig to the Reserve team, I honestly feel like they should have implemented RSR sooner when it comes to RSV and not just launch RSV and make it centralized. I feel like in the beginning they should have already included RSR to, and actually link it to RSV in the beginning instead of waiting, right? And until like, August and onwards. We have no idea. However, I felt like they shouldn't have waited. Why? Because if you think about it, the reserve, stablecoin RSV is not at $1. And ever since that Terra Luna crash, right? A lot of people lost their money, including me in that situation. However, when it came to that, they lost a little bit of their US dollar peg. And ever since then, they have been struggling a little bit to maintain that dollar. If you look at it, yeah, it's sort of $1, right? But it's not truly $1 like it's supposed to be. However, when I think about it, if they had implemented RSR in the beginning, this wouldn't have happened because they could have actually used RSR as insurance, sold it, and actually maintain its peg, and at the same time, give RSR holders a chance to stake it on RSV and actually start earning rewards. Now, I felt like this was a little bit of a mistake on their part. And however, it's fine because if anything, it truly shows that, if the price of RSR was able to go that high without even being linked in the first place, just imagine how high it's going to be once it actually starts getting linked to RSV. And am I still bullish on the future of RSR? Absolutely. Because as I've said before, right, if it could reach that all-time high price, despite not having served its true purpose, just imagine once it actually does and what's going to happen to RSR's price in the future. And the amazing thing is once you actually stake, you can start earning passive income. So that's amazing, right? And it's based off of the revenue of our token. So you just stake and you basically just get your rewards. And what am I doing with RSR moving forward? I am dollar cost averaging. Why? Because I believe in its future use case and I believe in it long term. I also believe that this is actually just a major discount price, especially for me. So I'm just accumulating as much RSR as possible at this moment. And, once we see, the August mainnet launch, once we actually see RSR get integrated to RSV, the reserve app, the future is just absolutely untapped. And, who knows how high this can go, right? Once Reserve gets into more countries, once they start, expanding their user base, and once they start increasing their volume, just the price of RSR is absolutely untapped. And I feel like the future is so bright when it comes to RSR. And that is it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure you guys like and subscribe to my channel so you guys can stay tuned to all my RSR content as well as my other crypto videos. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.